All right. So today we're in the studio with Astrid Young, here to do a wonderful interview and a set for us. My name is Michelle, and I'll be doing the interview today. So, hi, Astrid. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. We're really excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for making the trip here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so excited for you to be here today. So, funny story. The way that Astrid and I got in touch is I actually saw her playing at Budweiser and happened to be chatting with one of her friends, Signa, who was wonderful, by the way. She was so sweet, and she was totally singing your praise. And she mentioned something that I thought was kind of interesting about your music and the direction that you take it in. She was saying how you used to do your music more as like a solo kind of folk, one woman guitar type thing, but then you slowly started to add a backing band and you started to play the songs a bit heavier. What kind of led to that change and how did it feel for you?
Well, I'm not sure if that's an accurate
Yeah.
depiction of my arc musically because uh, I've done a lot of things in music, but when I was younger, I played in metal bands. So I was a metal singer, and before that, I was in classical music. But that's another story. And I love, I think most musicians will agree, kind of like the grail of playing music live is to play it with a band and play it with other people, and it's just that alchemy, that musical chemistry that you have together, and that's the ideal. But it's not always financially viable. The more people that you have on the stage, the more mouths there are to feed. So, logistically, it's a lot easier to play solo. Now, mind you, I have a brother that can basically hold 50,000 people in the palm of his hands, playing just him and a guitar. So that's a little bit of an inspiration for me. It's just like,
Right.
and I always thought, hey, if he can do it, I can do it, right? So it was something to aspire to, and it was round about I don't know, late '90s or something like that. I made a record with my band. I had a power trio at the time, and I was playing bass and singing. It was a stoner rock power trio called Ist, and we made an amazing record. And but I moved to Napa Valley to kind of further my life in the wine business, which is also another story. I don't want to get into that tangent completely. But, I was there on my own. My band was in Canada, and I was just really looking for an outlet. So I started to play those same songs just acoustically. And
Cool.
in order to meet musicians in Napa Valley, because I thought, there's got to be musicians here, right?
Yeah.
So I started an open mic in a little town called St. Helena just to kind of pull people out of the woodwork. And it was amazing who came out for it. But it really gave me, I did that for a couple of years, and it really gave me the opportunity to kind of hone my solo work and my craft. And it's interesting because, I just get these really heavy songs, and I'm doing them on a 12-string solo acoustic, so it was a completely different thing. And I was going to be doing some shows with my brother because I was in his band at the time, singing backup for him and playing piano. And so we were going to be going to Europe to do some shows after we'd finished a record called Are You Passionate? So we had a bunch of shows around that. And we were only going to be there for like a week. And I thought, it's like going to Europe for a week. It just seems criminal, right? So at the time, the Ist record was being released by a label in Holland called In Betweens. And I had this crazy idea one day, and I called up my label guy and I said, hey, if I make an acoustic record, will you put it out and book me some shows? And I can do it while I'm over there. I can like fly over after the Neil shows and do that. And to my surprise, he said yes. So then all of a sudden it's just like, I got to make a record now, right?
Yeah.
So my brother was on the road, or he was in Los Angeles doing something. But anyway, his studio is free. And so I went into his studio for a week, and I made a record called Matinee, which has a lot of the same songs as the Ist record as I was doing them live. So basically I played everything on the record, and I walked in with my guitars on a Monday, and the joke was on the seventh day we mastered.
Yeah.
And I walked out of there with a mastered record at the end of the week, and
Wow.
and then I went over to Holland and toured that a little bit. So
Oh, wow.
continuing to do the I still have like heavy music and rock music in my blood, and I think it really comes through in my interpretation of a lot of songs, and it's interesting how my sound has evolved over the years because it's kind of a mishmash of a lot of different things. I have a lot of different influences, I guess. And, people say, well, what does your music sound like? It's like, well, somewhere between David Bowie and Black Sabbath with a little bit of Kate Bush.
Love.
Which seems kind of odd to people, but they go, okay, and then they listen to it and it's just like, okay, I get it. I get it now. But I had to kind of make up a genre for all the, the marketing people out there because they have to put a label on everything, right?
Of course.
So I call it acid folk.
Oh, I love that. That's good. That's really good. That's a good name.
It's about the closest I can come to it. There's some of the the funding organizations don't really like that because it doesn't fit into their little nice little cubby holes of what they think music is, right? So, but I don't really think that I align with the whole Americana, AAA vibe or folk vibe or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's, I think it's valid.
Yeah, totally. You recently just got back from a Dutch tour, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I, same connections, the same label that I was on in the past, but I, maintained my associations with them, and I just thought, oh, it'd be kind of cool to go back there and do another little tour. It's been a while, so I got in touch with them again. And we hooked it up, and it just so happened that a good friend of mine, Ken Stringfellow, was going to be over there doing some shows too. And he said, how do you feel about doing some shows with Ken? And I said, yeah, I love Ken. Let's do it.
Cool.
So it was really incredible and rewarding and so creative and musical. And it was all about kind of sharing and really connecting with people. And all but one show was sold out. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really a really delightful experience.
Did you actually get a chance to explore anywhere while you're there? Like, did you stop in any cities, take a look around?
We weren't really near any. I mean, most of the places we played were kind of smaller, out of the way places. But I got to see some parts of Holland that I haven't seen before.
Cool.
And didn't really have a whole lot of opportunity to do any sightseeing because it was like 8 shows in 10 days, and it was just like go. So
sounds about right.
Short and sweet, but it was fantastic.
That's awesome. You've played so many iconic places and venues. Like you played the Whiskey Go Go. I got to
Whiskey Roxy, all Gazzari's, all up and down the strip there. Yeah.
Well, is there any stage whenever you get a chance to play it that truly feels like home to you? Having played so many venues in the past.
Any favorites, really? I
guess favorites, or just one that kind of feels the most comforting.
Comforting. I don't know. I kind of like being on big stages. It's a lot of fun. It was just such a treat to be able to do that with Neil, opening for Neil on the shows this year, and playing at the Budweiser stage, and playing at playing back at the Budweiser stage, which I haven't done since like 2000, I think, and playing Deer Lake Park in Vancouver, which was fantastic too. It's really hard to pick one, basically, but I have to say that. This one recent show that I did with Ken, we played this recording studio in Heerlen. No, it was Heerlen. No, near Kent in Holland. And it's called Tripool Studios. And I'm telling you, this is like a world-class recording studio, and it's basically in the middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
Like, I couldn't believe it. I walked in, it's just like, I'm a real gearhead, too, so I was like, my eyes are bugging out, and some of the vintage gear they have, I mean, his mic closet is like, I even said to him, I said, I want to live here. Can I live here? That he had a beautiful Yamaha C7 grand piano, and that we did the shows in the live room, and actually the evening shows sold out so quickly that they added a matinee show, so we did 2 shows there that day, and that was probably one of my favorite, most memorable shows in recent history. Besides the bigger shows that I absolutely loved playing the shows that I did with my band this year. I mean, this is the best band I've ever had. And we just love playing together, and we love hanging out together, and it's just a pleasure from, every moment we spent together is just a pleasure. So.
Yeah, I remember seeing you guys on stage with these big smiles. Yeah. Everyone seemed really happy. So
Well, it's always nice after the fact, when everybody says, it's like, I miss our little group. I mean, my guitar player Tim, he's doing a bunch of shows with Carol Pope right now, and I think they're out east. And my bass player is in Norway because he's got a girlfriend out there. So we're kind of like, having a long distance relationship right now.
yeah, that's tough. So this has been the interview with Astrid Young. We're going to switch over to some songs now and hear her play some of her wonderful tunes for us here on 89.5 FM.
This is a song off my new record. Currently the first song on the record, but that may change as the whole collection evolves. It's called Lily.
Lily, oh Lily, what have we done to you now? You can't put a price on the head of the messenger. He's always coming around. When the rain came down, did you suffer along? Did you cry? Silly old Lily, can't see the use anymore. You can't understand why the world's such a mess and everything become a chore. When love finds your heart, you be at home. What are you searching for, only to come back alone? Et ton cœur sans secours. Et ton cœur sans secours. Candy is dandy, wine is as sweet as a plum. If I were a popsicle, I'd be the red, white, and blue one. I can't find a reference to pain anymore, and nothing is ever insane anymore. Sans secours, et mon cœur sans secours. My curse fades away. Now I feel pretty steady today. Thank you.
So this is the title track from the record, How the Beautiful Get Away with Murder. And we can talk about the story of that after, because it's rather a long story. So let's just do the song first. And I'll figure it out.
Beautiful can get away with murder. fun bones gone a misplaced empathy. But the butter in their mouths is now turned rancid, 'cause it's been there for an eternity. Yeah, the beautiful can get away with murder. The dull ones blink with incredulity. If case is closed, the dragnet goes no further, and the evidence denies that first degree. But the lab has got the bullet, prize exhibit A, and the fingerprints have faded clean away. And yet a golden hair could still hang you, a golden hair could still hang you, a single golden hair. It's criminal what they can get away with. Top jaw lawyers pulling strings on high. Lifestyles of the rich and infamous beauty, and make the poor nobody ugly sigh. Yeah, the beautiful can get away with murder. A pretty face reads no pathology. There is no solid proof despite a motive. Now they demand an apology. But the lab has got the bullet, the prize exhibit A, and the fingerprints have faded clean away. And yet a golden hair could still hang you, a golden hair could still hang you, a single golden hair. Thank you.
Okay, it's another song from the new record, and this is actually an old song. It was on the Ist album, but it's a great song, and I think it really holds true for me today because you look at the world and the divisive attitudes everybody has, and the polarizing politics and everything like that, and everybody's just hate everywhere, and for somebody like me, it's just like that's just not who I am, right? And I always thought, how cool would it be, if we could just get all the like-minded people together and get a big spaceship and go find another planet and just leave all the people to their petty squabbling. And hopefully we can find a planet that's as beautiful as this one. But anyway, it's called Spaceship.
For the killer in me, for the lover in you, for the time that we spend in the dark of these troubled times. You gotta more than pretend, yeah, you gotta be so. It's the time at the start of the end of the line. Yeah, waiting for heaven, waiting forever, looking for nothing to put my faith in. I got my friends here, and we got a spaceship. Yeah, could it be so far? Oh, that star. And would you go that far with me? Yeah, if it were too far. Oh, that star. I'd settle for that star. Oh, that star. It's a giving away of the little things, like your heart and your love and your trust and your soul. Ooh, yeah, is it fading away? Has it all been taken? And you're lying alone in the dark and the cold, waiting for heaven, waiting forever, looking for nothing to put my faith in. I got my friends here, we got a spaceship. Yeah, could it be so far? Oh, that star. Would you go that far with me? Yeah, if it were too far. Oh, that star. I'd settle for that star. Oh, that star. Oh, that star. Oh, that star. For heaven, waiting forever, looking for nothing to put my faith in. I got my friends here, we got a spaceship. Yeah, could it be so far? Oh, that star. Would you go that far with me? If it were too far. Oh, that star. I'd settle for that star. Oh, that star. Oh, that star. Oh, that star. Or even that star there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so we are in the studio today with Astrid Young. That was awesome, first of all. Loved
Thank you.
everything you just did. You mentioned that you had a story to tell about one of the songs.
Oh, about how the beautiful get away with murder.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so, well, growing up and, through any music lover will tell you, I mean, there's always bands and musicians and stuff like that. You're just like, wow, I just love this band. I love this person. I love these songs and stuff like that. And my last record, I've always loved the Violent Femmes. And my last record, I had the great pleasure of co-producing it with Victor DiLorenzo, who is the original drummer from the Violent Femmes. And Victor and I have a really amazing musical chemistry together, and it was just an absolutely brilliant record. And it's interesting because you listen to the Femmes and stuff like that, and until I started playing with Victor, I didn't realize how much a part of the sound, that he was, right? So anyway, we always wanted to make another record. And so when we started talking about this new record, Victor is also in a band called Night Crickets with with David J. Haskins, who was the bass player from Love and Rockets and Bauhaus. And of course, I'm also a very, very big fan of Bauhaus and Love and Rockets, both of them. And I guess Victor was talking about doing this record, and he played our old record for David, and David just flipped out and he said, I love this. This is so good. He says, ask her if she wants me to play on it, right?
Wow.
So Victor got in touch with me and said, David wants to know if you want him to play on the record. And I was just like, yeah. I didn't know what to say. I think the first time I talked to him on the phone, I babbled like a schoolgirl for about 10 minutes. I don't even know what I said to him. But, the thing with Love and Rockets and Bauhaus and getting to play with David J. is that back in my early screenwriting days when I was just starting to get into it, I was living in Los Angeles, and I'd written this short story I called it Haunted When the Minutes Drag, which is the name of a Love and Rockets song. It's on Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven. I was actually listening to that record kind of on a loop while I was writing this story, and the story was about, it wasn't fully formed at the time, but it was about a female serial killer who was basically, she was a rock star, so she was basically killing her fans,
Love.
covertly. And the story has a lot to do with the cult of celebrity and
Right.
how you can get away with stuff when you have you're insulated by this entourage all the time that's protecting you. And of course, being in a rock band, you're traveling all the time, so you're going to the next city. And so she was getting away with it because just for the simple reason that, people were facilitating it and her lifestyle was facilitating it, right? So that story, and this is kind of a long tangent to get around to the point here, but anyway, so that story, I actually optioned it as a synopsis. I optioned it again as a treatment, and then I wrote a screenplay because I thought, well, let's go for let's shoot a little bit higher. So I wrote the screenplay, and it still got legs. Actually, it ended up getting made into a movie, but David didn't know this when I first talked to him, and I thought that I was kind of embarrassed to tell him because I thought, oh, this is going to make me sound like too much of a fangirl. So
Right.
I thought there's going to be a right time and a place for me to reveal that I wrote this screenplay that was named after one of his songs and whatnot, right? So we're in pre-production for this record and kind of tossing around songs and figuring out what we're going to do. And I had this song that I had written, and it was a fully formed song with the music and the melody, but I didn't have any lyrics for it, so I just kind of tossed it in the hat. And he got back to me and he said, this is my very bad Cockney accent. He says, I have lyrics for that song that fit just like OJ's glove. And then he dropped these lyrics on me, and the song was called How the Beautiful Get Away with Murder. And I just dropped the phone when I read that. It's just like, oh my God, because he didn't know. He had no idea. And I thought, okay, so the time is right for me to reveal all this stuff. And he couldn't believe it either. It was like one of those kismet things because that's exactly what the song's about. And the cover of the record is a still from the movie, because we did make it into a short fake documentary that followed the events of the feature. And, basically we didn't have any money, so that's how we made it. But the cover is actually a still from the film. And so again, this story has some life in a new song, and it continues. And I hesitate to say it's my life's work, but it seems to have some legs. So there you go.
That's awesome. You come from a lineage of writers, right? Like your parents are writers, and I think you had a grandparent who was a writer too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always writers in my family, especially on my father's side. My father was a writer. He wrote, probably 45 books or something like that. And he was very well known in Canadian culture it's actually kind of weird to me because he was a household name when I was growing up. And it's kind of weird to me that generations have grown up without knowing who Scott Young is. But he was obviously a big influence on me, and just seeing him write every day. And my stepmother was an editor, and that's how they met. They both worked at the same newspaper. And she was actually, I mean, I started writing, I think I had my first piece published when I was 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a short story, but my stepmother was actually more encouraging to my writing than my father was. My father would he would immediately go to the issues, the problems with my writing and the problems with my stories and things like that, where she was a little bit more encouraging and pointed out the good things about it and encouraged me to keep going. But ultimately, it was always something that was really easy for me, and it was kind of in my blood. And obviously, you look around your family and you see, oh, we could actually have a career doing this,
Yeah.
But I don't know why I didn't put enough effort into it early on in my life. It seemed too easy to me. I think I wanted to do the hardest thing possible, so I decided it's like, let's do rock and roll, because that's really hard.
Yeah. Circling back a little bit
Okay.
to some of your other creative endeavors as well. So you're a wine sommelier.
I am.
How did you get into that?
Well, I was, I lived in California for a long time. There's obviously a lot of wine down there. I was trying to get into film music. I was working for an orchestra contractor. Anyway, so we're at this big session at Paramount Pictures, and we're on our lunch break, and we went over to a restaurant with a bunch of people, some of the musicians, a copyist, a couple of other people, and myself, and we're all talking about how much we hate dealing with the suits at the studios because they all lie so much, And one guy said these words that would change my life. He said, the only thing that you have to know to have something in common with these guys is you either have to play golf or know something about wine. And I thought, well, I'm not much of a golfer. And so the next day I went down to the newsstand and I bought a Wine Spectator magazine, and I read it cover to cover. And it was a real eye-opener for me, because I thought I knew a little bit about wine, and I realized how little I did know. Till I was working at a restaurant, and I was telling my GM that I was threatening to quit, actually. I got to get out of the business. I can't take this anymore. I'm just so burnt out. I don't want to deal with drunk people anymore,
Yeah.
And he looked me in the eye and he says, why don't you get your sommelier certification? And I looked back at him and I said, why the heck would I want to do that? And he says, well, think about it. He says, if you want to do it, we'll pay for it.
Oh,
so
wow.
I thought about it, and I thought, oh, what the heck? I had nothing to lose. So that was my first sommelier certification, and I took through the Court of the Master Sommeliers. So I got my basic certification. And then when I came back to Toronto in the late 90s, and I took another course, and I got a certification through the International Sommelier Guild. And I'm also a member of the Canadian Association of Professional Sommeliers. So I was kind of collecting certifications there for a little while. And lived in Napa Valley for a while, and this is while I was still touring. I actually got sponsored into the Master of Wine program, so I was a candidate for Master of Wine at one time, and there's only like 400 of them in the world.
Wow.
So a very exclusive little club, but it was great. I dropped out the year that I was eligible to write the exam, mostly because I was still touring, and I had to kind of pick one or the other.
Right.
So because it's PhD level studies, so you really have to commit. And I know myself, right? Like, because a lot of people say, oh, you do wine, you do music. Which one do you love the most? It's like, oh, I can't pick which one I love the most, but I'll tell you something. If somebody called me and said, oh, do you want to go out on this tour, whether it's opening for my brother or playing, as a side musician in another band, there is no question. I will drop everything and go do it. So,
yeah.
so I mean, that's basically the answer. And I had pretty much a full year of touring coming up, and I was really I was skeptical that I would be able to pass. They give you 2 years to write the exam, so you can do it in sections and stuff like that. But it's like I couldn't see my way through it, because I thought that I would be, working, and I didn't think I would do it justice. So that's why I dropped out. But I still work in the business, and I have the advantage of having toured on somebody else's dime for a really long time. So when, you go to places like I play in Paris and I got 2 days off. Okay, I'm going to Champagne or I'm going to Burgundy.
Yeah.
And then you go to these places and you meet the people. And so I've developed connections all over the world. And this is part of what gives me value as a sommelier and as a wine buyer. And I developed a niche too. So basically what I do as a sommelier is I design wine lists for restaurants, And I'm also a consultant, and sometimes I get hired to go in and find out why they're losing money and redesign their beverage programs and get them back on track. I've done that for a lot of restaurants. One of my claims to fame is I created one of the most successful wine programs in an Indian restaurant right here in Toronto at Kama Sutra Indian Restaurant on Bayview.
Oh, really?
And it's amazing because, it's gone through new ownership, and you go in there and the wine list is identical. It's my wine list.
Cool.
It's like, some of the wines have changed and stuff like that, but the blurb in the front of the wine list, I wrote that, and
Yeah.
people have tried to copy it over the years and they've failed miserably. And people that are higher up than me in the business, like master sommeliers and things like that. And the reason why they fail, and it just is a little anecdote about, the guy that taught me how to, in my course, my sommelier course, he's this old French guy. And one of the things that he said, Indian food, don't drink wine with it, drink beer, right? But I cracked the code. I totally cracked the code on it.
Yeah.
And one of the really important things to note, that if you're spending $20 on your meal, you're not going to spend $200 on a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Right. So keeping it, style-wise it's another thing. Just getting the style of wine right for the food, to match the food, but also price-wise, right? You got to look at the clientele too. So you got to look at every aspect of it, and that's part of my value is I can kind of look at the big picture and find out what's good for them. In Prince Edward County, I have a Best of Award of Excellence for the wine list that I'm currently overseeing right now, and I built that from nothing. I'm very
Wow.
proud of that. I've had a few Best of awards, and that's another thing that I get hired for is if a restaurant wants to win Wine Spectator Awards, I'm one of the few people that actually can do that.
Wow.
Successfully and guarantee them an award at the end of the day.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that there were so many levels to the education of a wine sommelier. I
Yeah.
didn't know that you could do a PhD level education for it. I had no idea. Kind of crazy that you're the Gordon Ramsay of wine. That's insane.
I'm sorry.
You're the Gordon Ramsay of wine. You go into these restaurants and it's here you go. Here's what you should be doing. That's awesome.
I think I'm a little bit nicer than Gordon Ramsay.
I can agree with that.
At the time you hear this, I won't be gone. I'm gonna sing it till the end. You won't have to listen, it's just gonna be. Once we were enemies, once we were brothers. Every time I hear your call, I see it all. Oh. Now the centuries fly beside each other like weaving this melody under the skin. Would you let me in? I will not stray from your love, from your love, from your love. One night at the Giant Rock, I saw the ocean from the sky. Oh, the way we used to fly. Remember, leaving the dream behind, walking on water by the Integratron, where the wind is warm. Might have to be, and our children will cry at what we have become. But God loves his sinners, so Moses tells it. Is he selling me a lie, or must I go pray for your love? For your love, for your love. Did you see the light from up on your pedestal? Through the eyes of your chemicals, is it coming clear? When you touch me, baby, does it all come flooding in? Do you let it go? What can you take from me that hasn't been taken another time? And I am expecting to pay for your love. For your love. For your love.
So this is a song that was supposed to be on One Night at Giant Rock, but it's actually going to be on the new record. And it's called One Night at Giant Rock.
I made a circle in the sand with a bunch of rocks I found. I burned some cinnamon and sage and sat beneath Joshua tree. I can't imagine why I left it all behind. Above Desert Canyon, I'm high above the night. I fly against the tide. I make up words for things I can't define. I die before my time. Ooh, surrender to eternity. An end to all the enmity. Love will be a reckoning. One night changes everything. One night, whoa. Ooh, one night, whoa. Funny how the time goes crashing by, even when the fun is gone. Ain't it funny how you try, even when you know it's wrong? I just chose to fly and open up the sky above Desert Canyon. I'm high above the night. I fly against the tide. Oh, I make up words for things I can't define. I die before my time. One night, oh, ooh, one night,
I can do another one. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do. I have this new song, and it's not. We haven't even tracked it yet, but. And it's kind of following the spaceship theme in a way, but it's there's so many friends that I have that have just so hung up on politics and the news and stuff like that, and I find if you're constantly glued to the doom scroll, you're never going to be happy. There's always going to be something, lingering in the background, some anxiety and stuff like that. So I was talking to this friend of mine about that, and I have so many friends where I've just had to say, okay, we don't agree on this stuff, so let's just not talk about it because I still want to be your friend, and it's better just leave this whole issue out of the equation, right? So I was talking to a friend about that, and he says, you know what I say? He says, I just kind of interject and say, I'm a peaceful nothing. And I thought, that's so great. I can really identify with that, with being a peaceful nothing. So that's what this song's called. And it's basically about what happened when I didn't read the news one morning.
I didn't read the news today, and I'm so happy I can finally breathe. The raindrops on my face remind me of the majesty of time and space we're passing through. And everyone is divine, and everything you're thinking is fine, but it's a fine line, and today I'm free. Are you with me? I'm a peaceful nothing, a peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing. Just for today and maybe tomorrow, I'm a peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing. In the world, in the world. Dancing the secret lives of clouds, lucid dreaming in the space between. Murmurations, salutations, revelations, strawberries and cream. And everyone is divine, and everything you're thinking is fine, but it's a fine line, and today I'm free. Are you with me? I'm a peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing. Just for today and maybe tomorrow, I'm a peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing. In the world, in the world. I'm a peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing, peaceful nothing. Just for today and all my tomorrows, I'm a peaceful nothing, a peaceful nothing. Just for today and maybe tomorrow, I'm a peaceful nothing. nothing, peace for nothing in the world, this perfect world.
All right, so we're back in the studio with Astrid Young to wrap up our interview. That song was awesome. That
thank
little
you.
sneak peek that you gave us. I'm really excited to hear that, like recorded on the record and stuff. It's
Oh,
gonna be
me
awesome.
too. Me too. That's actually, we're just getting ready. Like I said, all my guys are just like scattered to the wind right now. So
Yeah.
as soon as they get back, and in the long cold winter, I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
get down to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I had just like a couple more questions that I just wanted to ask you. If
Sure.
That's cool with you. So my first question was, you've done a lot of work that's like tied to your brother, right? Because you did the book, The Being Young. You've done backup vocals for him on, some of his like crazy records and stuff. And you've opened for on tour. So I'm just kind of wondering, as someone who also has an older sibling, how is it to work with your sibling? Like, how is the collaboration? Is it challenging? Do you guys fight? Like, how does it go for you guys?
It's amazing. And I think that we have an advantage in that we don't really have to have there's not a lot of discussion, like he can look at me and I kind of know what he's thinking. And, so that really helps on stage too, because, I can kind of anticipate where he's going, and he doesn't always do the same thing exactly the same way twice. So you really have to kind of keep an eye on him. And and so that's been really helpful for me. And I actually had that. It's almost like a telepathy thing. So,
Yeah.
And I love it. I really do. And I love the fact that I can make him sound great. And I love the fact that he loves my band too.
Yeah,
it's just,
that's awesome.
Yeah, just really, it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys can do that, because that's even for people that play together for a long time, right? Like that's a hard thing to find, that type of chemistry. So
It
that's
really
awesome.
is. Ann and Nancy Wilson from Heart are, they're friends of mine too, and they
Yes.
kind of like corroborated the same thing. It's just like this is just a certain unspoken connection
Right.
that they have. So maybe it's a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, sounds
for
like
some
it.
of them. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say it works for I don't know, some people, but
not for everyone,
not naming any names.
So over the course of your career, like you mentioned, like Nancy Wilson, like you played with some pretty iconic musicians. Has there ever been a moment that you've been like truly starstruck?
Oh yeah, yeah, and not with anybody I played with, but I was making a record for Warner Brothers in the early '90s, and it was we were at A&M Studios in Los Angeles, and there was only one other band in the studio for about a month. So I shared the studio, and there's like 5 studios in the complex, right? So between us and the Rolling Stones, so we had that whole complex booked for like a month. And so I saw the Stones pretty much every day. They were recording Voodoo Lounge at the time. And so I remember getting ready for a string date, and my string quartet's like tuning up in the room, and I'm standing out in the hall, and Mick they all had their routine, but Mick would come in pretty much like clockwork around 4:00 in the afternoon every day, straight from the gym with his sweatpants on, his gym bag and stuff like that. And he walked in the front door, and he looks at me, he goes, "Hello, how are you doing today?" and I went, "Good, how are you?" And he goes, "Just great." And then he walked into the studio, and I ran in and I grabbed my cello player and I said, "Mick Jagger just said hi to me." And it was just like this kind of like knee-jerk reaction. I could never have predicted that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
That's the only time I've been truly Star Trek. And I think that, this goes for almost every musician that I know that has had experiences like that. You just don't know when it's going to happen. You know? I've been standing next to big rock stars before, David Bowie and, all kinds of people that I really just like admire so much, and that didn't really affect me as much as Mick Jagger saying hi to me.
Oh my God, that's amazing. A huge part of being a musician is also just being a music fan, right? Loving the artist you love, loving the music you love.
Yeah.
Over time, how has your music taste evolved?
Well, I think I've always had kind of eclectic taste because I was started life as a classical musician. I played in orchestras up until I was about 18, and so I had a great love for the Russian composers, and I started getting into like Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and stuff like that. I thought there was a lot of parallels between the composers that I loved and that music because it was like a lot of melodic lines in the lower registers and a lot of deep, heavy, driving music, and I thought there was a lot of similarities to it, So that was kind of my segue, into rock and roll is that, and of course, being a classical musician too, you tend to gravitate towards virtuosity too. So I like prog rock bands, and I loved Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and even Rush and Frank Zappa and stuff like that. So I just think that I just like anything that's good, anything that's got heart, heart and soul, and something that just like really gets you, and things that are different too. It's really refreshing to hear music, especially nowadays because everything's been so done to death, right? But when you hear something and you go, wow. That's like, I've never heard anything like that before. And I like to think that a lot of my music's like that it's surprising in that way. And I've had some critics describe my music as there being a musical surprise around every corner. And it's just like, yeah, okay, I like that. That's what I'm going for. I want to take people on a ride.
Yeah, that's
a
awesome.
bit of a roller coaster. That's what I'm going for.
That's awesome. Nowadays, like, is there any artists that you've noticed or like newer musicians that you've seen out there that's kind of caught your eye or anything like that?
Yeah, there's a few. I love King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard. Love that band. I love that band so much. And the thing that I love most about that band is that they can go from like this jazz fusion thing to like house music to metal, and it's like seamlessly. You go see that band live, it's like seeing 5 bands, and it's just like, oh my God. And these guys are having so much fun doing it. And I've been seeing them since they were playing small clubs too. So like now the fact that they played Budweiser stage last year was like, wow. Good idea. Like the first time I went to see them, they were playing it, I think, I can't remember what it was, Sound Academy or something like that it was called at the time, but it was like a 2,000-seater. And I thought, nobody's heard of this band. They're never going to be able to fill that place. And it was like packed, shoulder to shoulder, people crowd surfing. And it was just like, okay, well, obviously there's something, other people know what I know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And, there's some other great bands that I've heard. I mean, Youngblood's amazing. I mean, it's just like, holy crap, we get a new rock star on the horizon, I mean, I think everybody's been talking the past few years about how all our rock stars are, there's no more rock stars anymore, but he's definitely one. And there's always new things popping up on my radar that is, but those are the 2 things that come to mind.
Yeah, pretty cool shouts.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say thank you again for coming in today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolute
it's been a
joy.
blast.
Yeah, we totally loved hearing all of your wonderful music, and it was such a joy to be able to talk to you. So yeah, thank you for coming in. You've been listening to our interview and live session with Astrid Young on CIUT 89.5 FM.
Maybe it's not just right after all. Maybe you're no good for me, but the greatest of loves often don't come predictably. Sometimes you just gotta take a chance. Sometimes you have to let your heart decide. Trust the gift behind a kiss, behind a spark, behind a thing, behind a girl. Ooh. I can't apologize for being here. Can't explain